Louisiana's education system is in trouble. Concerns about truancy, literacy, and test scores are reemerging as the state navigates post-pandemic deficits. Joseph Waddy is at the center of this crisis, working to help students and teachers tackle these challenges. I got to sit down with him and talk about the future of education. All right, so you're pretty familiar with schools and teachers. Right now it seems like we're in the middle of a big teaching crisis because there aren't enough teachers to fill these really important roles. Why is that happening? And it seems like it's happening more so with women.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that go into teacher retention, finding new individuals that enter the teaching force. I think what has been consistent across both of those groups is that this is a really, really difficult job. It's a really difficult job in ideal circumstances, and then also when we're considering all the changes of the last few years, the interruptions due to the pandemic. I think a lot of people that had great reasons for coming into the field are feeling the stress more than anything else. The stress of feeling overworked, undersupported, underpaid. I think those are all issues that are very much on the forefront right now, and I think it's potentially discouraging a large group of people from entering the field or even considering entering the field in the first place. Without any of the data in front of me, I don't know, but it is evident that we're losing quality candidates across the board.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you said it's discouraging people from even entering the field. How do they know how difficult it is if they've not even entered?
I think it's one of those things where individuals that are in education have really found a voice for what it is they're struggling with and what it is they're challenged by. I also think it's impossible to not see the challenges that educators are having in the local news and the national news. There definitely does seem to be a sentiment about questioning our teachers in public schools, and so I think there's just kind of a lot going into it not being potentially as rewarding as some individuals might have felt it was in the past.
So it's really just a product of the environment.
Yeah, there's so many different factors that go into it, but at the end of the day, it's only going to impact the kids negatively, and I think we need to do better at recruiting, but also at retaining the strong people that we have in our buildings.
Yeah, so like you just said, that's only going to affect the children negatively, but I mean, are there any solutions to kind of keep them up to speed? I mean, some people have recommended that kids go to summer school to get their reading scores up. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of proposed legislation right now. I think what you're referencing is potentially something that could pass with the state of Louisiana, where students in certain grade levels are required to attend summer school based on reading scores in order to prevent being retained. We're up against a huge battle right now. Standard data that we have shows that students lost about 22 academic weeks or 22 learning weeks from school during the pandemic. So no matter what, we're having to remediate a lot of lost learning time. I think any solution is positive, but I think any solution definitely needs to come with the funding and the support for the teachers and the individuals that are expected to roll those plans out.
So you just said that students lost a ton of productive time where they could have been learning, and raising those literacy rates up. But wasn't this an issue before the pandemic?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is nothing new to education. This is nothing new to schools in Louisiana. I think what is new and what is unique about it is that along with the academic loss that we saw, we also have a lot of social time lost. We have a lot of authentic experiences that kids at every developmental level would have gotten that they didn't. And I think it's something that we do have to view holistically, and we do have to address reading and math scores, but there is a lot else that was also lost during this time.
So a lot else that was lost during this time. So I just want to know, as a teacher, as somebody that's worked with children, what else has changed for them besides, the social time and the literacy rates? What's it like to be a student going to school in 2022?
It's different. I think it's definitely different because I don't think you can just look at it as being a student in 2022. I think you have to look at it as I am a student that was a student during the COVID-19 pandemic, or I was someone that was a student before and after the COVID-19 pandemic. And so I think having to look at things from both levels, both in the ways that we would have been remediating and looking to make up lost learning in the past, but then also what are the unique factors that have been presented because of the pandemic, but then also are there things that we are blaming on the pandemic that were always an issue in the first place that we just haven't addressed?
So if you could think up a perfect society, a perfect place for children to learn and actually be able to progress, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it starts with basic needs. I think we've identified a lot of different areas that students need support, academically, socially, but I think it really does start with, are the students coming into the building coming to us with their basic needs met? That is what allows the opportunity for teachers to dive in and do remedial work in reading and math when you have a student that is able to come to school that wasn't worried about getting themselves ready that morning, wasn't worried about helping a sibling get ready, wasn't worried about where their next meal was coming from, or if I'm too late to school, do I get breakfast or not? I think there are so many barriers that our students are specifically facing that even get in the way of me trying to plan for what that perfect education system would look like. And so, I think unfortunately right now we are in a place where in order to imagine what that perfect system would look like, I need to see what it would look like for all of the students coming into the building, being supported and having those basic needs met.
All right, so it's not just one thing, it's everything.
It's going to be everything.
Well, thank you so much for coming back and talking to us again.
Absolutely.